corporate governance. I think all of you might be having an idea of corporate governance. So basically, corporate governance is nothing but the governance which has been initiated for the corporates. So for the companies, because most of the companies are indulged in lot of malpractices, the governments has initiated this corporate governance practice wherein they are going to keep a check on these companies and see to it that various frauds are going to be minimized and the stakeholders are going to get the maximum protection. So that is the purpose of the corporate governance. So moving ahead, so you can see the evolution. So basically from so in the various countries, so many frauds has been taking place. So that is the reason why all the governments in all the countries have started with the strict rules and regulations so that they can stop these malpractices and the frauds that are going to happen in the corporates. So initially in USA, you can see the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act has come, and US Securities Exchange Commission, US Threadway Commission. So all these commissions basically they have come so that they can say to it the companies are going to have minimization of the frauds and maximization of the consumers as well as stakeholders benefit. So that is with respect to the various countries. So we will come to our Indian scenario. So from when actually we have started with this corporate governance. So in the British era also the companies used to work, and from that time onwards we used to have an agency system wherein it used to control the companies, and that system used to see to it that the frauds are not going to happen. So in the British period, you can see that there are various managerial and financial processes that were taking place, and it was a contractual system. And in that system only, they used to provide the financial advices, and they have seen to it that the various qualities and talents of the companies used to be exist, and they can attract more of the investors. So that was the time wherein we were not having independence, but from that era onwards also companies as well as the rules used to exist, but there were certain limitations in that system as they were not able to protect the shareholders because the rules were not that much strict at that time. And then they used to think from the side of the company only, how can the company benefit to the maximum. They never used to think from the side of the shareholders where they can see to it that the maximum returns are being given to the shareholders. So that was the drawback of this. And then, as I said, maximum concentration, maximum, they used to think from the side of the company. They wanted to have more of the power economically and managerially, and they wanted, the companies wanted to have the maximum benefit or the maximum profits. So that was the drawback of this corporate governance at the time of the British era. After independence, we have come up with the industrial resolution policy, wherein we started to think from the side of the development of the industries as well as from the side of the protection that has to be given to the consumers as well as to the stakeholders also. So from the time onwards, what all various rules and regulations have been taken place, we will see now. So after independence, from the time of 1956 to 1990 is basically the time period wherein we slowly started with the development phase, wherein slowly in our country also we started establishing the various industries, see to it that we are having the proper control. We have set up the company law board, and then we have the Companies Act also. So all these things has happened in this period only, and so many amendments have also taken place in this time period. And in this time period, we can see that there was an increase in the imports and exports. So many restrictions were initially placed so that we can have a control on our imports and exports and see to it that our government is getting the maximum benefit. So then later on in the liberalization phase, actually we have lifted these impositions on the restrictions of imports and exports. But during the earlier period, wherein from 1956 to 1990, we can see that there was a development from the side of the financial institutions, the stock market also. You can see that it was coming into the market era. The various companies like IDBI, ICICI also have come up, and then this was the time period wherein they started thinking from the side of the protection and licensing system. And then they wanted to control the red tapeism that was existing in the government. And then this in this time period, they have also come across the various issues that was taking in the markets as well as in the companies, and they wanted to have the minimum of the frauds. So this was the basic phase wherein we started thinking from the side of the companies as well as the stakeholders. And then the next phase is the liberalization phase, wherein we have lifted up the restrictions on so many trades and other things. And in this phase, we have actually come up with this very important turning point of our country, with this, that is the establishment of Securities and Exchange Board, SEBI, 1992. And then I think all of you are aware of the SEBI importance also. So SEBI is the institution which controls the entire stock market and see to it that in the stock market there are no malpractices that are going to happen, and it sees to it that almost all the companies are following the rules and regulations, and SEBI tries to give maximum protection to the shareholders or the stakeholders also. So this is very important phase for our country. So that is from the 1991 to 1999. So wherein we have set up this SEBI, and as well as we have come up in the 1997 year Confederation of Indian Industries, popularly known as CII. So this Confederation of Indian Industries has also prepared a code of corporate governance, wherein we follow this code of corporate governance given by the CII, and which is of very much importance to our country. And various reports have also been generated, like Kumar Mangalam Birla report, Aditya Birla report. All these reports have been given in this time period only, wherein the government started focusing on the growth of the companies and as well as on the international business. It started seeing our country in the international business, and it has started its way so that we can be on par with the other countries also, like how other countries are going to control the frauds that are taking place in the other countries. Like that only, we also incorporated various corporate governance strategies in our country also. So our country, which is following this corporate governance, no, that has been imbibed from the various models, that is Anglo-American model of corporate governance. So we have taken, our Indian economy has taken that model from other country, and then what all important points were there in that we have constituted. And then in April 1997, National Task Force was also set up, wherein it used to see various directives related to the corporate governance, see to it that the various codes which has been given by the various committees and what all guidelines are being given to the companies, whether they are following or not, that was monitored by this. And then this was the time period wherein we have mainly focused upon the working of the independent directors. So I think you might be knowing independent directors are basically the directors who will not get influenced by others. So they are going to take the decisions independently, and no influence of the others are going to influence their decisions. So they are going to be more plain and independent. So we have emphasized on the role of independent directors, because for a company, if an independent director is there uh, without any influence on them, then only these people can take the right decisions. So that's why this concept also has been highlighted. And then independent directors has been made a major part in the company's working also. So that was the various things which has been developed in that era. And then the last one is the modern period. So that is this period presently. So in this period, you can see the various things that are going to happen and which are continuing also. So SEBI is one, and then to the SEBI also various amendments has taken place. That is in the year 2001, 3, and 4. As the environment, as our Indian environment is changing, as per that we have made some important amendments to the SEBI. And then um, the other things which are very much important for corporate governance in India are the things which are related to the size of the board. That means how many members should be a board constituting, what would be their likely remunerations, what are the disclosures that are required from the side of the company when it is going to publish its financial statements, what all are the must disclosures, what all things it has to compulsorily give. Then coming to the financial reporting, like how you are going to report your financial status. Then accounting standards. So accounting standards also, by now you might be aware, like any thing that you are going to have it in your balance sheet or trial balance, for that corresponding accounting standard is there. Like if you have a depreciation, so depreciation accounting standard you have 10. For leases you have accounting standard 19. So like that, when you are going to write anything in your financial statements, whether you are following the corresponding accounting standard or not is also going to be checked. So in accounting standards also you will get all the rules and regulations how you have to actually disclose that particular transaction or aspect in your financial statements. So that is the thing which has been implemented. And then board meetings, performance evaluation. So how much your stock or your shares are going to have your performance. Then code of conduct, how your company is going to actually conduct its uh, its basic things in the organization. Then ethical issues and transparency. So what all morally you are following and how you are being transparent and then giving all the details of the company. So all these things has been added. And then the other important things which has taken place are industrial policy resolution, company law, SEBI, CII, Kumar Mangalam report. So these are the basic significant events which has happened in our country and which have a lot of importance to the corporate governance. Then now coming to the nature and scope of corporate governance. So corporate governance is basically very simple. Corporate governance is nothing but how one corporate should be governed. So how one corporate has to work, how one company has to work, and what all rules and regulations should be attached to that company so that the company is going to work in a proper manner. So that is your corporate governance. So why there should be corporate governance is basically to minimize the frauds and to give more security to the shareholders. So we will see the scope of the corporate governance. So corporate governance is going to include what all? So all this is a part of the corporate governance. Scope means always what it is going to include. So in your corporate governance, accountability of the board of directors and their responsibilities are there. Then transparency. So transparency, just now I said how far you are giving the correct information. So that is your transparency. And clarity in responsibility. So whose responsibility is this? Who is accountable for that? That also it is included. And quality and competence of the directors. So how far the directors are trustworthy and what are their qualities? What are their qualifications and qualities and their track record? That is also a part of the corporate governance. Then next coming to the checks and balances in the progress of governance. So how you are making strict rules in your company and what all you are going to check, how you are going to progress for your company. And the last one is adherence to the rules and regulations and codes. So whether you are abiding by the rules and regulations that has been framed by the company or not, that is also going to be checked. Now, need for the corporate governance, as I said, definitely the corporate governance is needed because if corporate governance is there, then the company is going to have a complete check. So in a company, minimization of frauds is going to take place, and then we are going to see to it that the everything is going to happen in the interest of the stakeholders. So who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders are the people whoever are connected with the company. So if you are a consumer, you are a government, you are a taxation authority, you are a shareholder, you are a debenture holder, you are a supplier. So all these people clubbed together, we call them as a stakeholder. So whoever is connected with your organization, you are going to see to it that you are going to give maximum benefit to your stakeholders. So earlier the concept was we used to give more importance to the shareholders. So in company's mind, only generating profit and as well as giving importance to the shareholders was there. But there is a difference between your shareholder and a stakeholder. Shareholder is only the person who has invested in the shares. but stakeholders are the people whoever are connected with your company. So somehow so many parties are going to be involved in our company. So now from the corporate governance side, we do not only give benefit to the shareholders, but rather it is a broader view wherein we are going to see to it that all the people whoever are connected with the company are going to get the protection, as well as they are going to get certain benefits also. So need for the corporate governance, emphasis on, as I said, it is going to give more accountability and transparency to the company. Then it is going to ensure us the financial stability. And then it is going to see to it that it is going to minimize the frauds that are taking place in the organizations, even in the markets also. Insider training and all, it is going to remove and then give maximum benefit to the stakeholders. So whoever are connected with your company, they should get the benefit. So that is why this corporate governance is must. Now next, moving ahead, essentials and objectives of corporate governance. So what all are the must of the corporate governance? So corporate governance is basically what? It is a system of defined relationships by structure and processes. So if you are a manager in a company, what is your role? What is your responsibility and how far you are accountable for the things? So in your corporate governance, it is going to define what is the role of the person, what is the relationship that you are going to hold with the company, and what all things you have to do so that you are going to give maximum benefit to the company as well as to your stakeholders also in a legal manner. So that is what it defines. Then the next one says, as in, under your essentials, it may involve many parties. So obviously one company is going to be related with so many parties. There will be suppliers, there will be shareholders, there will be debenture holders, there will be banks or financial institutions. So here one company is going to be involved with so many other parties. So we see to it that the parties which are involved with the companies are going to get the protection, as well as they are going to get a share in the profits, and everything is going to be legalized. And the next one, all parties involved in direction and control of the company. So almost all are related to the company, and as in the direction which has been specified by the company, everybody has to move in that, and the control of the company is going to be final, which is, as I said, everything is legalized, everything is under a perfect system. Then next one, it says they are going to distribute all the rights and responsibilities. So whoever are involved with the company, whoever is having any relationship with the company, everybody is going to have their own right as well as the responsibility also. So if you are going to distribute all these things properly, then only in the long term our company may fetch any value. Now coming to the objectives. So what are the main objectives of the corporate governance? So first objective is to see to it that the company is more properly structured. So the board of directors, the board, everything should be properly structured, and then it is made independent. So as I said, if somebody is influencing the board of directors, then all the decisions taken by them will be in the favor of one or the other person. So if you are working independently, then only you can think from the side of the company and from the side of the stakeholders, and then our decisions will be moving in a right manner. So that's why they have seen to it that the board is going to work independently without the influence of anyone. The next one, the board is going to be more balanced. So it is going to have independent directors, it is going to have non-executive directors, and every person whoever is holding any position, they are going to give they are going to have their own responsibility. They have to take care of the interest of the stakeholders, and then they are accountable to the stakeholders also. Then next one, the board adopts transparent procedures. So transparent procedures are nothing but wherein you are fair enough, and then you are letting the things that are happening in your organization known to the all the people. Just the things you are making it public. So when you are not hiding any facts, all the material statements or all the material facts have been disclosed, then we can say that it is more of the transparent procedures or practices. So this should be enhanced so that more transparency is going to be maintained, as well as it will raise more goodwill also. Then next one is concerns of the stakeholders. So if the stakeholders are having any concern, any problem if they are going to face, then they should be having an effective mechanism wherein they are going to solve the problems of the stakeholders. So stakeholders, you have to remember, that is all the related parties with the organization will be called as the stakeholders. Then board keeps the shareholders informed. So anytime whenever the company is going to conduct any meeting or any minutes, every time the shareholders will be informed of the relevant developments or the meetings that are going to take place in the company. So immediately they are going to be informed. Then the board regularly monitors. So the board of directors compulsorily need to monitor what is going to happen in the management, and then see to it if there are any things that are going in the other way, that should be regularized. Then last one is for the effective control. So obviously corporate governance itself has been brought in so that we are going to have more control on the company, and then all the affairs of the company are going to be on par with the legalized manner. Now coming to the various principles of corporate governance. So the principles of corporate governance are also called the pillars of corporate governance. On this only the entire corporate governance is standing. So what are the main 4 or 5 principles which we are having? We will just see. First thing is fairness. So obviously, whenever a company is running, then it should maintain fairness, that is equal treatment to all. So how can we ensure equal treatment? So one example I will just share with you all. Like suppose you are a person who have invested in the company for a shares of 10,000 shares you have purchased. And then I am a person who has purchased only 10 shares in the company. Then generally the company will give weightage to you because you are holding 10,000 shares, isn't it? So when the company is thinking from the side of the majority shareholders, then the minority shareholders' interests are going to be suffered. So what this principle says is everybody is same in front of the company. So whether you are a majority shareholder or a minority shareholder, whenever you are going to have anything, then you have to give equal consideration of all the shareholders. Irrespective of the shares that they are holding, you have to be fair enough. You should not uh, subside the interest of any shareholder who is having a minority shares, and you should not give weightage to the people who are having more stake in your company. So you have to maintain a fairness, equal treatment. Then coming to the accountability. Accountability is nothing but taking responsibility. So whenever we are doing any work, you should be taking the responsibility. You have to accept the things. So here mainly for this organization, for the company, the board is going to be the responsible thing. So here when the board of directors are going to work, the board of directors have to give an explanation. They have to be taking the responsibility and accountability for all the company's actions. So whenever somebody is going to be accountable or they are going to be responsible, then only the things will be moving in a smooth manner. So we are going to see to it that the board is going to take some of the duties and see to it that the company is running smoothly. So what all things the board is going to take, we will see. So first thing is the board should present a balanced and understandable assessment. So whenever you are going to present the financial statements of the company, at the time the board of directors should present it in a balanced manner. That means all the things should be fair and transparent, and it should be understandable assessment also. There should not be any confusion by the others in knowing your financial status. So you have to give a clear-cut idea of this. Then the next one is what all significant risks are attached to the company. All that risks should be assessed by the board, and then they should be willing to take the risk, and then they have to solve the problems also. So you accept the risk and you accept the reward also. So that is the main system of this board. Then next one, they should maintain sound risk management and internal control systems. So what is meant by a sound risk management system? So simple example wherein we can relate, say, like say if you are preparing your financial statements, at the time for our assets, we calculate depreciation as well as for these things wherein we are having any debtors. At the time, we maintain provision for bad debts also, isn't it? So why are we maintaining the provision for bad debts without knowing whether this debt is going to turn as a bad debt or not? Also, we are going to maintain a provision. So that is basically a risk management system because the future is contingent. What is going to happen, we don't know. So that's why we are going to maintain certain systems wherein we are going to see to it that in the future, if we are going to have any risks also, we are going to be at some safe point. So like that, we are going to maintain the sound risk management system and internal control systems. In the auditing, you would have learned internal control systems, various internal control systems. Like everywhere, you are going to place a control and work of one person will be eventually checked by the other person. Like the manager is going to check the work of the subordinates. So like that, if you are maintaining the control systems, then only the proper working will be done. So that also, it is the responsibility of the board to allot them and then monitor them. And then next one, the board should establish formal. So everything that is taking place in the organization should be formal only. So nothing personal should be there because if something turns out to be personal, then it will become the personal benefit of the board of the members. So that's why you have to think from the side of the company, everything should be formal and it should be having a transparent arrangements also. Transparent, as I said, whatever is going to happen in the organization, everything should be in front of your stakeholders. And then company auditor should be appointed. He has to come and then he has to check all the things that are happening in the organization and he has to generate an audit report also so that all the general public as well as the stakeholders will come to know what is the exact financial position of the company. Then lastly, the board should communicate with the stakeholders at the regular intervals. So what is happening in the company, how the company is progressing, what all changes that are taking place, all that need to be communicated to the stakeholders at regular intervals so that you can build a rapport with them and then you can have a long-term relation with them. Then next one, the responsibility. So always accountability and responsibility goes side by side. So if you are saying that you are accountable for that, you have to take the responsibility also. So the board of directors has to fully accept the responsibility of what all things are going to happen in the company. They should be responsible enough to manage the business, to know, to appoint any chief executive officer and then see to it that everything is going on in a legal form with minimum frauds and then in the interest of the stakeholders. So that responsibility is the responsibility of the board. Then again, the transparency. So it is again a kind of repetition. So transparency is anything that is going to happen, you have to keep your stakeholders informed of the activities. So what all strategies you are taking, what all future goals you have, what all things you are going to take up in your organization, what all changes you are bringing, all that need to be communicated and what is your financial status, what is your how many loans or how many things you have cleared, everything you have to share with them and all the material information, all that material information should be communicated with your stakeholders. So that is maintaining transparency. Now coming to this elements of corporate governance. So basically these are our elements of corporate governance. So first thing is good board practices. So good board practices are if our board of directors are having good practices, if they are fair enough, if they are having a clarity in their thoughts and if they are having their duty and responsibility, then only the entire company can get some benefit also. So like the good practices, good board practices involve the following. So in the board of directors, they should know what is their role and what is their authority. And beyond their authority, they should not act. What are the duties of them? What are the responsibilities also should be known. And then board is well structured. So you are going to take a well format, well structured, like the composition of board. You have your independent directors, you have your executive directors, you have your non-executive directors. Like that, you are going to frame your board in a proper structure. Then it should be a mix of skills also. Like one person should be having a knowledge. Like when you are picking up the people, see to it that your board ultimately consists of all the people who has almost the utmost knowledge of all the things that are required by the company. So one person should be good in accounting standards, the other person should be good in corporate governance, the other person should be good in the legal matters. So like that, if all the people, if all the board of directors are having certain knowledge about the things that how they have to take up the company, then probably the board will be working in a better manner. So always you have to take a mixture of the skills of the people. Then appropriate board procedures. So what is the legal procedure that need to be followed? Only that it should be indulged in. Then director's remuneration. So because he is a director, you cannot just keep on paying him from the profits. How much remuneration should be given to the director as per the rules, as per the best practices? You have to provide him with that much remuneration only. And the last one is both self-evaluation and training should be conducted. So you have to assess, the board should assess themselves, and then how they have to work in a more better manner. That trainings also, if they are going to get, then probably the board will be working in more better manner. Then next one, control environment. So what is basically environment here? So here with respect to our company, environment would be the things that are going to have an influence on the company. So here, internal environment as well as the external environment. So basically for one company, internal environment will be the people whoever are internally associated with the company. So all your employees, then all your people, all your workers, all these people will be your internal environment. External environment will be the government authorities, the banking authorities. So the people who are outside your company, but somehow they are related to your company. So how you have to control your environment internally as well as externally also. So if you have to control your environment in the both the sides, first thing is you have to see to it the various things which has been listed here, internal control procedures. So as I said, internally, if you are controlling your company by good practices, by some strict rules and regulations, then only the work will be properly flowing. So internal control procedures should be definitely there. Then risk management and disaster recovery. So always the company has to think from the side of managing the risk, because in the future, what is going to happen, how the things are going to turn out, we do not know. So always be prepared for the risk and then save certain money for the risks or the disasters also. So that's why all these provisions and all are going to be maintained. Next, media management techniques. Because if certain small things happen also now because of the social media and all, they will be highlighted like anything. So you should be knowing controlling the environment. As a part of that, you have to control the media also and see to it that the rumors are not being spread by the media. The next one, business continuity procedures. So you might be aware, like when we are starting with our business, only we assume that it is going to um, go on forever, isn't it? So it is going to work for an indefinite period of time. So that is the concept with which we start our business. So the person who has started with the business, he may exist or not, but then the company is going to run forever. So that is the basic assumption which we take up. So with that assumption only, we have to see to it that our business is continuing, and then we are going to have certain procedures which are enhancing the continuity of our business. So in between, if we are going to get certain losses also, we should take that risk and then we have to continue with that. Next, independent audit committee established. So independent audit committee, as I said, like how you have your independent director, like that you are going to have an independent audit committee also, wherein that audit committee is not going to be influenced by anyone. It is going to work independently away from all these influences and all. Just it is going to conduct the audit and then it is going to give the report also. Then next one, internal audit functioning. So before the external auditor is going to come and check our financial statements, if we have our internal auditor appointed, then probably if at all any errors or uh, any other frauds are going to take place in the organization also, that would be controlled by the internal auditor. So that's why it is better that you have an internal audit functioning and then minimize your frauds. Then management information systems are everything now, like it is computerized, and then the management, all these policies and all also, it is going to be uh, established, or it is going to work under the management information system, wherein a centralized information system is being maintained, and then that is going to monitor. Then compliance function. So what all things to be completed, how you have to take up the things, that is going to be established. So that is called as your compliance function. And then last one is independent external auditor. So as I said, at the end of the financial year, external auditor will come and he will check the company, and then he will prepare the audit report. So based upon that only, we will be able to attract more of the shareholders based upon the audit report. So that also you have to control under your environment. Then moving ahead, transparent disclosures. So all the financial information as well as the non-financial information should be disclosed. So anything that is important and which should be known by the stakeholders, definitely that should be disclosed by the company. Then now the recent thing is IFRS. So that is International Financial Reporting Standards, like how for our country, within India, if you are preparing your financial statements, we are going to follow the accounting standards, and then we are going to complete our financial statements, isn't it? So like that, if your company is going for any international trade, then at the time, definitely apart from our Indian accounting standard, you have to follow the international financial reporting standards also. So that also it is a mandate. The next one, high quality annual report is published. So we will get high quality annual report only when we are fulfilling all the legal conditions, like you are following accounting standards, you are following transparency, you are giving the right information. If you are indulged in this international trade, you are following IFRS. So you have your gap principles also. So all that if you are maintaining, then only our annual report will be having a high quality. And then web-based disclosures, like how we are having right now Zoom classes, like that. Even when you are conducting these meetings also, you can call for the annual general meeting web-based, and then you can make the disclosures also. And then next one is with respect to the shareholders, right? So as a part of the good corporate governance, if the shareholders are satisfied, then only you can say that you are going to provide good corporate governance. So well-defined shareholders' rights are, so as I said in the earlier example, minority shareholders' rights also formalized. So even if you are holding some 10 shares or 5 shares also, then also protection should be given to the shareholders. So it is not with respect to the number of shares that you are going to hold in the organization, but is with respect to the shareholders. So even one share also, if you are going to hold, you will have a protective right. The next one, well-organized shareholders meeting. So it is mandatory practice that whenever you are going to conduct any meeting, you have to inform the shareholders. Either you give it to the postal address, you post him, or you send an email, or you inform him in any other manner, but that is a mandatory requirement that you have to compulsorily inform the shareholders, and the time, place, and the venue. And if they are not present also, the meetings of the proceedings also should be sent to them. Then next one, policy on related party transactions. So related party transactions are basically the people who are involved with the company, and then because of them, what all implications are there on your company. Like for example, hmm, you have a sister company, or you have any associate company, or you have any subsidiary company. So in these any three of these examples, you are related with any company like this. So because of that company, because of your associate company, is there any change in the working of your organization? So that would be your related party transaction. So because of your related party, what influence it is going to have on your company? So that disclosures also you have to compulsorily give. So if at all you have studied accounting standards, you have one related party disclosure as a part of one accounting standard. So that also it is a mandatory requirement. And then last one is clearly defined and explicit dividend policy. So how you are actually declaring dividends to your shareholders, what is the base for the declaration of the dividend, and how is your dividend policy, on what way you are deriving so and so dividend to be. So that also clear cut explanation should be given. The next one is board commitment, how far the board is going to be committed. So always the board should be committed to all the issues that are going to crop up in the organization. Then the next one is the corporate governance champion. So the company has to turn itself to be a corporate governance champion. So this can happen only when the company is going to take up all the corporate governance practices as per the government. Then corporate governance improvement plan. So in our company, how can we improve ourselves? How bestly we can have a good corporate governance, that also should be created. Then appropriate resources and commitments. So how you can create any resource, how you can be committed to that, how you can start any initiative of the corporate governance. All this should come from the side of the board also. Then policies and procedures. So what all policies and procedures need to be followed? What is the code that need to be followed also should be dealt up. And then last one is corporate governance leader. So your company, if it is going to take up all the corporate governance practices, then the company can be recognized as a corporate governance leader also. Then next one. So next one is PE ratio. So PE ratio is nothing but the price of the share, and then how much earnings you are giving for that share. So why this PE ratio is that much of importance? Because suppose see, with 100 rupees you have purchased one share and your share is going to fetch only 5 rupees. So your share value is more and then your dividend value is less. So with that, the satisfaction of the shareholders will not be there. So that's why always see to it that your PE ratio is going to be a higher one. That means even though the initially when the shareholders have purchased the shares at a lower value, but if you are declaring more of the earnings, if they are getting more earnings for their shares, that means the company is performing very well. So that is the significance of PE ratio. So always the company has to see to it that it is going to maximize the PE ratio, and then from the PE ratio calculation also we will be able to know whether the company is growing and how the company is making its mark in the market. So you see to it as a part of the corporate governance, give maximum PE ratio to the stakeholders. So then next one. So next coming to the benefits. So what all benefits we can actually get? So first thing is quantitative growth. So obviously whenever the frauds or the risks are going to be less, then the companies will grow very well. And once the companies are growing, more of employment opportunities, more of GDP, more of national income can be received by the company. So always it is better that you have good corporate governance practices. Then next one, so if corporate governance is practiced in the country, then as I said, it ensures the economic growth, economy can grow, and then social justice and development will also be sustaining because we are minimizing the frauds here. So as a result of this, justice will prevail. Then next one, we can reduce, third point is we can reduce the fraud and corruption. So obviously corporate governance itself has been brought in with the main intention of reduction of the frauds and corruption only. Then next one, it can lead to a successful international business also. So not only in our country, you can grow in the other countries. Next, next one, better human health. So minimum frauds, maximum profits. Obviously, it leads to better human health. The entire public is going to get something good by the practices. And last one is it is of a national pride and asset, because when one country, when the frauds are minimum and the maximum satisfaction is given to the companies as well as to the stakeholders, it is a pride moment for any country. So like that we can have. The next one, limitations. So what can be the likely limitations are, so these are nothing but the drawbacks. So the first thing is ownership and management separation. So always there is a conflict between the ownership and management. So sometimes the owner, he himself will be managing, and in some instances only ownership is separate and management is separate. So in that cases wherein the owner is separate and the management is separate, there can be a conflict, or there can be some likely misunderstandings between them, and because of which the entire organization may suffer. The next one, illegal insider trading. So illegal insider trading is nothing but wherein uh, in an illegal manner the people are going to communicate with each other, and then they are going to stop the prices, or they are going to have certain things illegally, and which is not going to run smoothly. So this basically, when it is going to happen to the shareholders, the value of the shares will not be increased, and because of this illegal insider trading, the stock prices will be stuck, and you have to sell your shares at a lesser price only. So this might take place, but then we are taking certain steps to eradicate this illegal insider trading also, but it happens. Then next one, misleading financial statements. So even though so many checks, internal control, auditor, everything is going on in the companies also, sometimes there could be misleading financial statements. So many companies do the window dressing and then they present the financial statement. So that is also one more drawback. And then last one is cost of regulation. So because there are so many committees and so many legal formalities for a company, the cost of the company may increase. The cost to the company may increase. So that also can be seen as a drawback. Then next one, structure of corporate governance. So what is basically the structure of the corporate governance? So basically the structure of the corporate governance depends upon what all people or participants are involved in this corporate governance. So basically for one corporate, the structure would involve the following people. So that would be the shareholders, investors, suppliers, banks, and the other committees and the board. So all these people together, taken together, will form the structure of the corporate governance in the hierarchy. So in the hierarchy, it would be the company, and below the company, we are going to have the CEO, then we have the board of directors, then under them we are going to have the manager, then we have the employees, and along with them we have the corporate governance code, and the associated people with this would be the suppliers, banking institutions, and then the creditors and the debtors. So all these people club together, we will get the people related to the corporate governance. So now moving ahead, theories of corporate governance, and this is important also, theories of corporate governance. So there are so many theories of corporate governance which has come up. So the first one is agency theory. So agency theory says that whenever you are a, suppose you are basically you are a director or you are the manager of the company. So here you are working as an agent to your stakeholders. So when you have to take any decision, that is when the company has to take the decision, or when the directors has to take the decision related to the company, then they have to think that they are the agents of the company, and as well as the agents of the shareholders or the stakeholders. And because of this agency relationship, they have to see to it that the maximum benefit is being derived by the stakeholders. So that is what this agency theory says, that The board of directors are acting as an agent between the company and the stakeholders, and you as an agent has to maximize the profit on behalf of the two parties. So that is the agency theory. Then stewardship theory. So stewardship is nothing but wherein if you are looking after certain things, if you are taking the responsibility of something, and if you are going to take the responsibility or accountability and saying that, okay, I'm here to take care of these things, then you become a steward. So here also, when you have the board of directors, what is the main function of the board of directors? The board of directors have to think from the side of the company as well as they have to think from the side of the stakeholders. They have to provide, they have to look into the matters of the company and they have to see to it that the shareholders or the stakeholders' interests are not going to be suffered. So here if you are the board of directors, you are acting as a steward. So you are taking the responsibility of all the people who are connected with your organization. So whether it is your company or whether it is your stakeholders, you take the responsibility, you look after all the things, and you see to it that you are going to give the maximum benefit to the stakeholders. So that is the stewardship theory. This is clear. Almost agency theory and stewardship theory are almost the same. Stewardship is looking after something, and agency is you are acting on behalf of your company. So both these theories says that you have to give maximum benefit to your stakeholders. So whether you are a CEO, whether you are a board of director, whether you are a manager, so you have to act in the interest of them. Then next one, stakeholders theory. So as I said, stakeholders are the people who are connected with your organization. So shareholders, debenture holders, government, organizations, taxation authorities, consumers, like all these people, whoever are having any kind of relationship with your company, all these people will be your stakeholders. So this theory says that the company has to give maximum benefit to the stakeholders. So the company, when it is taking its profit, you have to think for the side of the stakeholders also, and all the people who are connected with your organization should also get some benefit from your organization. So that is your stakeholders theory. All the people, different people whoever are connected with your organization should get some benefit. The company will take its own profit, and apart from that, you have to satisfy all the people related to your company also. So not only creation of wealth for the owners, but also for the stakeholders. So that is the main motto of this stakeholders theory. So instead of only owner getting the benefit, should not be taken as the main principle. Owner as well as the stakeholders should also get the benefit. The next one, transaction cost theory. So transaction cost is whenever you are taking up anything, when you are purchasing anything, any raw material or anything, at the time we are going to have certain cost involved. So all these costs, when the firm is going to incur, you see to it that there are no unnecessary costs, and then you are going to have the basic cost that you are going to spend, and then your transaction cost should be less. Your methods or the techniques for procurement of the resources and all should be less, but your benefit should be more. That means that is nothing but you have to incur lesser cost and you have to give maximum benefit. So any time whenever you are going to spend for anything from the side of your organization, the company has to think that lesser cost and higher benefit. So that is the basic crux of this transaction cost theory. Your cost should be less and your benefit should be more. Then next one, with this dependency theory, I will stop. I think you have one more class now. So dependency theory says that all the people of the firm are dependent upon one or the other another one. So when the people are dependent upon another resources or anything, you see to it like whenever you are procuring any resources, you use them in a better manner. You procure your resources and then you get the maximum benefit. Like the fourth theory says, when you are spending, spend less, get maximum benefit. This theory says when because you are dependent upon so many things, like you might be dependent upon the resources, you might be dependent upon some specialists or experts or anything. So whenever you are going to be dependent upon them, you are going to spend for them. You spend for them, but them, but then you get a benefit of more than how much you are depending. So that is your dependency theory. Resources should be used to the utmost. That is your dependency theory. Okay, so for today, I will stop here. So till fifth point. So from tomorrow, we will continue from the sixth one. Okay. Yeah. I'm just ending the class now. So we'll continue tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am.